Brought to you by Penguin.
Unwinding Anxiety. This is the author, Judson Brewer, MD, PhD. Note to listeners, this program includes a downloadable PDF that contains the Behavioral Tendencies Questionnaire from the book. To Amazon Addict. Introduction. Anxiety is everywhere. It always has been. But in the last several years, it has come to dominate our lives in a way that it perhaps never has. My own history with anxiety goes back much further. I'm a doctor, a psychiatrist to be precise. Only after years of struggling to help my patients overcome their anxiety and continually feeling like I was missing something important in their treatment did I connect the dots between anxiety, my lab's neuroscience research on habit change, and my own panic attacks. And that's when everything changed. I had a light bulb moment when I realized that one of the reasons so many people fail to see that they have anxiety is the way it hides in bad habits. Now, I think many more people are unavoidably aware of their anxiety, whether or not they are trying to conquer a habit. I never planned to be a psychiatrist. In fact, I had no idea what type of doctor I wanted to be when I started medical school. I just knew that I wanted to bring together my love of science with my desire to help people. Combined MD-PhD programs are set up so that you spend the first couple of years in medical school learning all the facts and concepts. After that, you switch to your PhD years, focusing on a specific scientific field and learning how to do research. Then you go back to the wards and finish your third and fourth years of medical school before heading off to residency to specialize in a particular field of medicine. When I started medical school, I wasn't dead set on becoming a certain kind of doctor. I was simply fascinated by the complexity and beauty of human physiology and cognition and wanted to learn how this human system of ours worked. Typically, the first 2 years of medical school give medical students the time and space to start leaning toward a field they might want to specialize in. Then they confirm this decision during their hospital ward rotations in the third and fourth years. It takes 8 or so years to complete a combined MD-PhD program, so I figured I had plenty of time to discover what called to me and just focused on learning everything I could. It took me 4 years to complete my PhD, which was just enough time for me to forget everything I had learned in my first 2 years of medical school. So when I finished my PhD and went back to pick up where I had left off in medical school, I chose psychiatry as my first ward rotation so I could relearn everything I had forgotten about how to interview patients while I was off in PhD land. I had never thought of becoming a psychiatrist, as they generally aren't portrayed positively in the movies. And in medical school, I had heard the joke that psychiatry is for the lazies and the crazies. That is to say, you become a psychiatrist if you yourself are lazy or crazy. But that psychiatry rotation opened my eyes to what I could later look back on and say was a confluence of serendipity and timing. What I learned was that I absolutely loved being on the wards and really connected to the struggles of my psychiatric patients. I could see myself being perfectly happy trying to help them understand their minds so they could more effectively work with their problems. While I loved most of my other ward rotations, nothing called to me quite as much as psychiatry. So that's the medical specialty that I chose. When I graduated from medical school and started my residency training at Yale, I found that not only was psychiatry a good fit for me, but I developed an even deeper connection to my patients who struggled with addictions. I had started meditating at the beginning of medical school and had continued doing so on a daily basis during my 8 years of MD-PhD training. As I learned more about my addicted patients' struggles, I realized that they were talking about the same types of struggles that I had learned about in my own meditation training, those connected feelings of craving, clinging, grasping. To my surprise, I found we shared a language and a struggle. Residency was also the period when I started having my own panic attacks, fueled by a lack of sleep and the feeling that I didn't know anything, combined with the uncertainty of being on call and never knowing when my beeper was going to go off in the middle of the night and what train wreck was going to be on the other end when I called the nursing station. All of this took a collective toll on my psyche. Talk about being able to empathize with my anxious patients. Fortunately, my meditation practice helped here as well. I was able to use my mindfulness skills to ride out full-blown panic attacks that would wake me from sleep.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?